I'm very pleased to have a young expert with us. He is actually more quite interested in policy issues, and his current focus is energy. We have with us right now Rishi Kishore. Let's listen to him. Over to you.
Thank you, Professor Mathur, for this opportunity. So I'm Rishi Kishore. I'm working as a fellow energy transition at a think tank based out of India, that is Swaniti Initiative. And before working with Swaniti Initiative, I was working with a different think tank based out of India, that is Center for Policy Research, JPAL, and International Growth Center. I hold master's degree in development studies from IIT Guwahati, and from in last 10 years since 2014 when I started working, I largely work on the different policy research, but right now my focus in on energy transition and particularly just energy transition for coal dependent district in India. So so right now I'm looking after 3, 4 district in India. And I basically started this topic with a larger interest that what will happen to the coal district in India once the coal production will started to slump, either due to resource or reserve depletion or due to the change in the market demand once this net zero 2070 come into the picture. So, and my interest in this area started because I grew up in the coal mining district. My father was a mining engineer, so I spent all of my life around the mines of the Central Coal India Limited, different subsidiary. So this is the larger idea about my and larger inspiration about the just energy transition and my work on that topic. So if we currently see in India, there are 51 districts largely dependent on coal, and out of those 51, 44 to 45 districts are largely around coal India mines. And out of those 45 districts, bearing few like Nagpur, to some extent Dhanbad, most of the districts are low on the multidimensional poverty index, and the development parameter is very low, largely all the dependency on the coal. So there are some direct dependency, which are the public people who are working in the Coal India Limited or their subsidiary or working as a contractual labor for the outsourcing firm. But there are a lot of informal and the induced economic dependency on the coal. And these 51 districts are almost all are really poor in the social indicator and largely dependent on coal for even the social infrastructure and basic infrastructure. So now the challenge hit, okay, we are hitting net zero 2070. And now at one point, it's a debate. It might happen in 20 year or 15 year or 30 year. No one knows when the coal will peak and when the decline will start. But different conservative estimates are predicting maximum latest by 2040, the decline is going to happen. So what will happen? 20 year is like tomorrow in the societal term. If we want to, because the legacy dependencies of 100 year, and now when the production is growing up, we need to plan at this moment because we have money right now, we have some time in hand. So what will be the future of this district? So I am basically trying to understand currently to establish the baseline. There are a lot of research happen in the last 3, 4 years. In 2019-20, when we used to talk about just transition in India, people were saying what you are even saying, we are going to touch 1.5 billion ton production in next 10 years. And you are saying that coal will slump in some time. But with the Prime Minister announcement of net zero 2017, whole country goes into the scoping study mode. And fortunately, we have few very good studies which establish the baseline. But the baseline was for 3, 4, 5 major districts. Now the idea is what is the dependency in different region and what are the comparative advantage of different districts. And when I say different district within Jharkhand, if we see the dependency in the Chatra, which is a new mining city, is very different where in comparison to the dependency in Dhanbad, which is a traditionally 100-150-year-old mining district where everything evolved around coal. So once we identify the magnitude of the dependency in different sector, job and the infrastructure, municipality strengthening is needed. So what kind of support, what kind of reform is needed at different level so that no one can left behind in this whole energy transition issue. That's why it's a just transition topic. So this is my larger idea of the research which I am doing. So first dependency, second how the district can diversify economically and dependency reduce over the year. And last, which is a $1 trillion question, not even $1 million, $1 billion, who is going to finance this whole transition?
Yeah, but one question which I think also needs to looked at is, why didn't coal give them prosperity? Why did coal, as you said, the coal districts are all lagging, and why did not? Obviously, we know the answer that look, you were just primary production, and the value added was not there, and nothing much came out of it except being workers being paid for basic labor. I mean, there were no skill development and so on. But why did this happen? I mean, why did. So let me stop talking and let's see if you have an answer for it.
So this is a very, there's no one answer to it why it doesn't happen. So one of the reason, so there are multiple. So if I go on the policy side, I can say the freight equalization scheme is one of the culprit.
Mhm.
When the freight equalization started in late 1950s and goes on till 1991, all the major industries shifted from the Bengal region to the Bengal, Jharkhand, or erstwhile Bihar to the western part of the India. So that the second we can say is a typical Dutch disease syndrome that is well studied phenomena in economic research. The third is the nexus, the political economy of development, which I don't delve into in detail, given that it has a lot, multiple layer. So for me, these are the three region, and fourth, with the state capacity of these places. If I went to Singareni and I was surprised and amazed to see how the Telangana coal district are there much more developed in comparison to our eastern part. So one of the major reason is the state capacity where these mines are located, where the reinvestment from the coal. So coal company has become a quasi state which provide all the basic infrastructure along with education and medical facility to the employee and local rather than the state government. And Rohit Chandra dissertation he did in Harvard Kennedy School has very clearly pointed out this phenomena that adaptive state capability of the Coal India Limited.
Yeah.
So these are the 4 points which I see is
This
major.
is what they call in the US as a company town.
Yeah.
The company town, and if you go, where I live in Washington, if you go nearby in West Virginia, there was a lot of coal. And today you can see the deserted coal towns,
Mm.
and they were poor. They were poor. Though there was a lot of coal being mined, the prosperity never came there. So coal towns, company towns, they don't bring prosperity to the region. But I was wondering just whether in India there are some other reasons.
Yeah, so one of our study where we are comparing US counties to the Indian district. So what you are saying in West Virginia, we have seen this phenomenon in the Fate County, if I'm pronouncing it right.
Yeah,
This is the case that the places are deserted, but luckily we are ahead on curve when it's come to planning that we can learn from our Western peers that okay, they started to plan energy transition late. We are
yeah,
at least 10, 15 year in hand. So let's keep our finger crossed and hope for the better future for the people who have suffered and
yeah,
enjoyed the fruit of coal a lot in the last
yeah, yeah.
year.
Okay. I mean, just a question. Are the coal mines just going deep or are they broad also?
Not so if more than 90% coal now is mined from the open cast mines. So they
Mhm.
are basically going broad rather than going deep. India is planning to has ambitious plan to increase the underground production to 100 million ton. But when the cost factor comes into the picture, it is a tough target. Today only I was attending one conference by by different group in Delhi, and they were saying that it's environmentally underground mines are very good, but then if the cost implication came into the picture, it will become very tough to be viable, especially when we are getting a huge challenge from the price of the renewable sources.
Okay, so the question is this in my mind: how will this land be reclaimed? This huge land, how will it be reclaimed?
So the whole just everyone is looking for different answer, but one of the biggest answer is how this what will happen to the land reclamation.
Yeah,
US has done some phenomenal work on the land reclamation, but in India, see right now, eco park is created on the old abandoned mines.
yeah,
There are few proposal that we can convert some to the industrial park, but there is a very huge cost implication to the
right,
land repurposing.
right.
The other good option is the pump storage, but it has its own legal complication because pump storage, many times the coal company has the underground right, but not the surface right for the
Right.
mines. So
Yeah,
they have to take, and the forest land came into the picture.
yeah,
So we don't know if the pump storage is a viable option. And then there are renewables options that on the OB dam and on the void of the mines, we overburden them, which we need when the coal is evacuated, a overburden is created. So on the OB dam, we can have the solar panel on the void, we can have floating solar. So these are the options, but filling the land, flatten, and for that, a lot of legislation need to be amendment. Right now, the major legislation is Coal Bearing Act of 1957, and in that act, it is not clear what will happen to the land when the land is decoaled, because no one has imagined in 1957 that what
right,
there
right.
is a time will come then this land need to be returned, and then there's land is a state subject, so different state has different policy, and
Yeah,
again a forest land need to return in some case, double compensation need to be paid to the forest, and afforestation need to be done. So there are a lot of legislative issue, legislative reform is needed before we come to a final answer, okay, these can be done to the these mining land. Right now, what Coal India or mining company does, they usually have afforestation on land, change void into some pisciculture for pisciculture. So basically, afforestation, creating void, these are the major two activity. And in some places, on experimental basis, eco park kind of thing is planned. In one or two mines, I heard that people are coming with the idea of floating solar and they implemented it.
okay, all right. So is there anybody famous or large scale doing some thinking about this, or is it on the back burner behind?
No, so largely India has two major coal company, we can say. One is the Coal India and it's around along with its subsidiary, and other is Singareni Coal. So Singareni has started taking a lot of initiative on at diversification. But when it's come to Coal India, has also started taking a lot on on their business diversification, and solar is one of the key option for them.
Mhm,
So they are also looking out for the viability of solar in on their land. And in some places they have a smaller solar plant. But
mhm.
ACC has a larger solar plant, but not on their old coal mines, but near the coal mines.
Okay, so is any of this working well? Do you have any examples?
Singareni has one plant in Ramagundam, which is really working well. One also around Mancherial, which is a neighboring district to Singareni. So that is also working well. Coal India has 40-50 megawatts, some plant that is also working fine.
Mhm.
I don't know about private player because we private mining are very less. There's few example of Tata, but I am not very sure about the numbers. So I
But
just
okay, none of this will create jobs.
that is the challenge. What will happen to the job?
Yeah.
And the job is reducing. The Coal India at the peak used to employ around 5 lakh people, and more than five. There are different estimate. For the conservative estimate, I will just keep myself to 5 lakh. Now Coal India is employing 2.1 lakh people,
Mm.
including officer and non-official cadre, and then 3 to 4 lakh contractual labor who is doing the mining for them based on the contractor payroll. So the number are decreasing, and renewable don't have that potential. So
No.
only there's no bullet point or silver bullet in just transition when it's come to worker and labor force. But I see economic diversification has only potential which can transform this district, and this will give this backward district, backward in a sense of economic term, these backward district to reinvent their planning and be in the race and attract new investment, because their old source of revenue is there for maximum 2 to 3 decades.
Yeah.
What is happening right now?
Yeah. But
So
it doesn't look very promising because you need the jobs even in the next 10 years, and the jobs are not going to be created. Actually, they're going to be declining.
job is a million billion dollar question. How we are going to create a job?
Yeah.
So there are different estimate in early phase when the solar manufacturing will be on the rise, new installation will be ramping up. At that time, might more job will be created. But once the installation and production reach to a certain level, then it will become stagnant. And unfortunately, given the current state of these district and the current policy investments, it seems very tough that these investment will come to the eastern district.
No. Okay. So, what is the type of schools that you have there? I mean, is elementary schools they are decent or they are lousy? Don't be politically correct. Just tell me.
No, so again, there's so school in Maharashtra and Telangana are much better in comparison to schools in Jharkhand.
Yeah.
But overall, if we live Maharashtra, because it's all around Nagpur, so Nagpur
Yeah.
has a
Leave
better
that out. Leave
infrastructure
that.
with
Go to
but
the
that's
eastern states.
an eastern state. In Dhanbad, in Asansol, you will find good private school or coal company sponsored school. Even we all studied in coal company sponsored schools, because those are the only schools, or some private school like Delhi Public School types of school. But the government and elementary schooling are not that good.
Hmm.
On in pathetic, if I'm not, I don't want to be politically correct. It's in a very bad state. Same with is true for the skill institution. Although DDU-GKY and the Pradhan Mantri Kausalya Vikas Yojana, government is putting a lot of effort in skilling. But again, the question is in what sector you are going to skill them.
Correct.
You know what will be the sector. So we were expecting that from our survey, we can map the aspiration of the people,
Yeah.
and we can say, okay, these are the potential sector that people want to be trained in, and these are the potential sector that the business here want to invest in. So we're trying to bridge or do some value addition there, but let's see how it's roll out in future. But we are
Yeah.
hopeful on that part that we will try bridge some of the knowledge gap or information gap there.
Okay. Any advice you have for young people? You're an expert now, so you can tell the young people.
Not an expert here, but yeah, spend some time to. Yeah, the one thing is read as much as you can. And apart from non-fiction, re, apart from fiction, read non-fiction. That is very, that helps to understand policy, that helps to understand how the country shape up. And so that is one advice. So number one is reading, and try to invest your time where your interest lies rather than just following the herd. So that will keep you motivated. Maybe financially, you in the early day, if you don't follow the masses, you will be taken aback or taken a hit, or you need to explain. You are not in a position to explain to your friends and family what you are doing. But in long run, it is much more satisfying than following the masses.
Okay.
So,
What about your own future? How do you see it?
So for me, I want, so this transition thing is going to happen for next 25, 30 years. So I want to build my career in this sector only. working now as a fellow at some point of time, working, rising up the ladder, and eventually be the part with the, not with the, supporting the state government and central government in this whole just transition, not the particular technical part of energy transition, but the human side of energy transition.
Yeah, I think that will be in the coal sector, that is surely the big challenge. That how do you bring prosperity? Anyway, it's a tough challenge, and certainly it'll need all the skills and thinking and analysis, because you are the first one I've heard this from. I mean, I don't talk to that many people who are interested in coal or in Jharkhand and so on. But the problem is obvious, and you have pinpointed it out very correctly, that look, this is people whose lives are being transformed by the transition, and we
And
need to take care of them.
And it's a tough question, especially for, and this is an emotional question also for me, because I grew up with these people. I know once the coal will be out, they won't have the enough food also to survive. So
Hmm.
that's also emotional part. I don't want my city or the town where I grew up becoming a ghost town in next 20 years.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Anything else you want to add here?
No, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, Professor Mathur. And it's
Okay.
nice talking to you.
Okay.
We'll chat.
Let's end the recording, and
Yeah.
let me say bye to the viewers. I'll be back with another young person or an expert soon. Bye, everybody.